Michael Schumacher latest, rescuer reveals new details on F1 star's accident. December 29 sees the 5th anniversary of his horrific accident, which saw the 7-time world champion disappear from the public eye after suffering from severe brain trauma as a result of the accident. The Ferrari driver is said to no longer be bedridden or in a coma, although experts claimed that his prolonged disorder of consciousness would hinder his full recovery. After details of his current state were released this month after his family remaining tight-lipped on his condition, the man in charge of Michael's rescue operation has broken his silence on the seconds and minutes that immediately followed the accident in the French resort of Mribble. Stephen Bozen, commander of the Mountain Constabulary of Savoyen and at that time responsible for the coordination of the rescue operation, opened up to German publication Focus on the devastating accident that immediately halted the career of F1's greatest living driver. Mr. Bozen told the magazine that he remembers immediately sending a helicopter to assist the Ferrari racing driver immediately after his crash. He told Focus, the first responders only said that because the accident site was next to the slope, it was difficult for them to transport him carefully and cautiously. And it was clear that it was very serious, otherwise we would not have used the helicopter. Mr. Schumacher was lucky. Asked what happened when the helicopter landed next to the slope, Mr. Bozen said, "It only takes a few minutes from the helicopter base in Courchevel to Mribble. I still remember that the emergency doctors of the helicopter had problems with the first care on the slopes because of the location of the accident. That's another reason why they decided to fly to Mount Urs first to stabilize him." Then he was flown to the hospital in Grenoble. But the rescue commander told the magazine about the finer points of the accident, claiming that while Michael had hit a stone that was covered with snow, the resort operator was not at fault because the F1 legend was skiing outside of parameter areas and had decided to go off-piste, or deviated away from the slopes. Mr. Bozen said of the investigation into the cause of the accident, "Some of our people were already at the scene in the afternoon. I was there the next day, took pictures, talked to experts. I also saw the stone Schumacher encountered with his skis and the stone he hit with his head. The special thing was that it had snowed so little in the days before that the stones were slightly covered with snow, but only with a very thin blanket of snow. He could not see the stone. But if it had snowed more, Schumacher would probably just have glided over the first stone." Schumacher was clearly outside of the prepared area of the slope at the time. But only by a few meters. Nevertheless, the operator of the ski resort is not at fault. Because if you go off the slopes, it is at your own risk. In the years and months following Michael's accident, his immediate family and wife, Karina, have kept the racing hero's condition a closely guarded secret. And when asked if he had visited the family, Mr. Bozen solemnly revealed that he had received no report on Michael's progress or recovery. Mr. Bozen said, "No. I do not know how he is doing either. But I do think about this accident quite often. For example, when I see a slope with stones at the edge. That's why I would like to hear good news about Michael Schumacher." Next news: F1 family unites in somber celebration of Schumacher. Michael Schumacher is to the fore of Formula One's thoughts as the 7-time world champion approaches his 50th birthday. 5 years on from the near-fatal skiing accident that has left the Ferrari great fighting brain injuries behind a wall of secrecy. The German, still the sport's most successful driver in terms of wins, 91, and titles, will reach his half-century on Jan 3. F1's focus will be on highlighting the remarkable career of a man whose fame stretched well beyond the racetrack, and who enthused a legion of fans in the 1990s and early years of this century. The Ferrari Museum in Brunello, Italy, is planning a special exhibition, opening on his birthday and lasting for a few months, both as a celebration and a mark of gratitude to the most successful prancing horse driver ever. Mercedes, the last team Schumacher drove for in F1 before retirement in 2012, will have some of his cars on display at the manufacturer's museum in Stuttgart. Formula One will also dedicate a week to Schumacher on its social media platforms, including exclusive interviews with many of those who were part of the German's F1 story. "We are going to celebrate Michael's birthday," said a spokesman. Schumacher remains a big part of the sport's narrative, with Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton now a 5-time world champion with 73 wins and getting ever closer to the German's greatest record. Hanging over it all, however, will be a strong sense of sadness, just as every anniversary since his December 29, 2013, fall while skiing off-piste near Mirabeau in the French Alps with his family. Schumacher hit his head on a rock and spent months in an artificial coma after being rushed to hospital in a critical condition. "We think a lot about him," Mercedes Motorsport head Toto Wolff told Reuters. "He was an exceptional sportsman, and he's missed. As a 7-time world champion, he's missed within the paddock, he's missed as a consultant to us, somebody we've been looking up to. We hope that his recovery continues to be positive, and that's the most important thing. Just how positive, or otherwise, is a matter of considerable conjecture and one met with resolute silence from his wife Corinna, his family and those who always formed part of Schumacher's innermost circle." They would prefer the world remembered Schumacher as the champion he was, rather than the different kind of fighter he has become. Sabine Kim, Schumacher's trusted assistant and spokeswoman who now also manages the racing career of his son Mick, continues to guard his privacy with polite but firm determination. "In general, the media have never reported on Michael and Corinna's private life," she said in 2016. "When he was in Switzerland, for example, it was clear he was a private individual. Once in a long discussion Michael said to me, 'You don't need to call me for the next year, I'm disappearing.' I think it was his secret dream to be able to do that someday." "That's why now I still want to protect his wishes and that I don't let anything get out. It is clear that if Schumacher was to have made a miraculous recovery, the good news would have been known quickly enough. The fact nothing has been said speaks volumes. Speculation amid enduring media speculation, be it rumored moves for treatment elsewhere or concerning Schumacher's general mobility, any shred of bona fide information from behind the walls of the family's lakeside Swiss mansion is news." One such snippet was provided by Swiss Archbishop Georg Janssen, who told German magazine Bund recently about a 2016 visit to Schumacher. "I sat opposite him, held his hands and looked at him. His face is just as we know it, The typical Michael Schumacher face. Only a bit fuller, he said. He feels that loving people are around him and care for him and, thank God, keep the all too curious public away. A man who is sick needs discretion and understanding. Jean Todt, Schumacher's former Ferrari boss who is now president of Formula One's governing body, is a frequent visitor. He revealed last month that he had watched this year's Brazilian Grand Prix with Schumacher. There are pictures of him all over my offices and apartments. The time with Michael will always be remembered as the best of my life, the Frenchman told reporters. Next news: Michael Schumacher, 5 years since his skiing accident. December 29 marks the 5th anniversary of Michael Schumacher's skiing accident, which resulted in the Formula One legend suffering life-changing injuries. The 7-time F1 world champion suffered a catastrophic head trauma during the accident on a family skiing holiday in the French Alps in December 2013. Despite the intense, and understandable, interest in Michael's condition during the intervening 5 years, Sky Sports has avoided speculating about his recovery and strictly adhered to the request from the Schumacher family for their privacy to be respected. That remains the case. Schumacher's recovery continues amid tight security and close privacy at the family home in Switzerland. Only a handful of official updates on his recovery have been released in recent years. What do we know for certain about Schumi's accident and recovery? Schumacher was injured on December 29, 2013 as he holidayed with friends and family in the French Alps. The former F1 world champion was airlifted to Grenoble Hospital suffering what was described as a severe head injury with coma on arrival, which required immediate neurosurgical intervention. At a press conference the following day, Schumacher's doctors described his condition as extremely serious, and a second operation, lasting 2 hours, was performed to reduce the swelling on his brain. In April, the family reported that Michael had showed moments of consciousness and awakening. 3 months later, it was announced that Michael was no longer in a coma and had left Grenoble Hospital. And in September 2014, the family revealed Schumacher's rehabilitation will take place at his home, adding, "Considering the severe head injuries he suffered, progress has been made in the past weeks and months. There is still, however, a long and difficult road ahead." In February 2016, Sabine Kim, Schumacher's longtime manager, expressed her hope that with continued support and patience he will one day be back with us at the opening of an exhibition to celebrate his record-breaking career. Later that year, a Schumacher family lawyer revealed during court proceeding in Germany that the former Ferrari and Mercedes driver cannot walk. The disclosure was made after Bunt magazine claimed Schumacher had recovered sufficiently to walk with the assistance of medical staff. Responding directly to Bunt's article, Kim stated, "Unfortunately, we are forced by a recent press report to clarify that the assertion that Michael could move again is not true. Such speculation is irresponsible. Because given the seriousness of his injuries, his privacy is very important for Michael. Unfortunately, they also give false hopes to many involved people. 2 years on, the hope for good news still runs deep and far." Thank you for watching the video. Be sure to share and subscribe to your channel to get the latest sports news around the world. Wish health and success. Goodbye.